And there are three principles that I want you to keep in mind whenever you're thinking in systems, which will help you to build a system for your own goals. The first principle when we're thinking in systems is to think about things holistically. You look at your intention, and then you think about all the factors that would influence the success of that goal and that intention. So you are proactively expecting that plan to fail. You're expecting to be tired and lazy and for things to come up. And you're asking yourself, what can I do about that? And so when I'm coaching someone to build their own systems, one of the first things I'll do is I will ask them about all the things they've tried in the past and then why that didn't work for them. And I'm paying close attention to what they did, but also how they responded to that obstacle or that challenge. It's important that you do this step because you need this list of all the possible barriers, because there's a high chance that the system you end up creating is going to have to account for all of these factors. And this is actually directly tied to the second principle, which is that you should build your system for repeatability. You do not want to develop a system of doing something that relies on like all the stars aligning. You want it to work on the worst day. And so if you think about your intention and then the plans that you have made, you can evaluate these plans in terms of how repeatable they are on a bad day. And ask yourself, does it rely on willpower or motivation for me to execute on this plan? And for the overwhelming majority of the clients that I work with, most of the plans that are created usually require you to inject motivation and willpower to make it happen. And that is a violation of the second principle, which is to build for repeatability. And what's really important with this process is that you have to think about it as a series of problems to solve. Just because your first solution isn't perfect doesn't mean that there is no solution. There is some combination of solutions that will work. Your role when you're thinking in systems is to look for that combination until you figure it out. And this is a process that I personally repeated hundreds of times, which eventually is what allowed me to work full-time as a doctor while running a business full-time, and then doing my master's full-time while going to the gym and having a social life and spending time with my family and getting 8 to 9 hours of sleep every night. And often one of the biggest things I do now when I'm coaching someone is that I simply am more committed to looking for that solution for longer than they normally might. And a lot of the time, the solution we come to from this thinking process involves a certain level of discomfort. But this is actually fine. In fact, this is a good thing. The fact that a solution feels uncomfortable means it's different than what we're used to doing. And getting a different result to what we're used to getting is actually the whole point of thinking in systems. And what I found is that the discomfort of making the change and acting on the solution is often not as bad as the discomfort of not making the change.